Tonight, the massive holiday travel rush and the headaches that still remain. Millions hitting the roads and taking to the skies on one of the busiest Labor Day weekends. But severe weather creating some chaos. A ground stop at one major hub. Heavy rains flooding this highway, sending this truck spinning out of control. We're tracking it all. President Trump facing two new setbacks in federal court after rulings against his tariff and deportation policies. How the White House is fighting back. Israel's military launching new attacks on Gaza's most populated city as the International Red Cross warns a safe evacuation would be impossible. Tensions rising between the U.S. and Venezuela. The Navy sending in American warships, and now Venezuela is accusing the U.S. of preparing an invasion. A big surprise at the Burning Man festival. Strangers coming together to deliver a baby girl. And get this, the mom didn't know she was pregnant. The new warning about rabies cases on the rise across the country. What you need to know to protect yourself and your pets. The most anticipated game of college football's opening weekend. A rematch between the top two teams as the new generation of a football family dynasty steps into the spotlight. And there's good news tonight about the perfect strangers who stepped in to help find this man's best friend.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a major holiday travel rush on this Labor Day weekend and the bumps in the road for some people. This was the scene in Dallas today when heavy rains caused drivers to get stuck on flooded highways. You can see one of them spinning out of control there. Those rains also leading to a brief ground stop, causing some flight delays. Severe weather also bringing these massive lightning flashes, lighting up the sky in Florida. But now there's good news about the rush home. Our Marisa Parra has the latest.
Severe weather snarling travel this Labor Day weekend. Drivers in Dallas stuck on flooded highways. This car seen spinning into the guardrail. As delays and cancellations hit airports in the Dallas area, the timing couldn't be worse. TSA projects beating last year's number of holiday travelers to the tune of 17.4 million passengers.
Yeah, this is a long line. I wasn't prepared for it.
They said it's going to be one of the record-setting weekends, so that's why I'm here 3 hours early.
AAA says travel costs are down this year on everything from hotels, rental cars, and domestic round-trip tickets, which are 6% cheaper than this time last year. Likely a factor in why we're seeing such high travel numbers right now.
It was a slower start to the summer for travelers, but I do believe that there is more consumer confidence, especially with the economy. It's also an opportunity for those travel lovers out there to make up for lost time and get out and about before sort of that reset of the fall takes place.
And more good news on the horizon. Average prices at the pump are lower than this time last year, with today's national average sitting at just short of $3.20. This as driving remains the preferred way for Americans to get away for the holiday.
Marisa Parra joins me now from Miami International Airport. And Marisa, what's in the forecast for people traveling tomorrow?
Well, the good news here, Jose, is the severe weather threat for most of the country is low. However, if you are among those that's planning to hit the roads this weekend, the best way to avoid the worst of the traffic is to either leave early or late in the day. Peak traffic hours tomorrow are noon to 5. Jose?
Marisa Parra at MIA, thank you so much. President Trump is facing major legal setbacks to two of his top priorities tonight, tariffs and deportations. And at least one of those cases could end up in a showdown at the Supreme Court. Vaughn Hilliard reports from the White House.
Tonight, the president seen briefly on camera for the first time in days, heading to his golf club in Virginia. His schedule quiet as federal courts this weekend intervened to limit Mr. Trump's presidential powers on two major fronts, ruling many of his tariffs illegal and an overnight ruling that blocked his administration from fast-tracking deportations of undocumented individuals. A federal judge struck down Trump's executive order, expediting deportations without giving migrants the opportunity for an asylum hearing. The government had previously only used this power to quickly deport individuals detained near the southern border. The judge writing, the policy would inevitably lead the government to erroneously remove people. The Department of Homeland Security saying President Trump has facts and common sense on our side. This pushback to the president's executive authority just hours after federal appeals court judges told Trump that he could not unilaterally implement most of his massive tariffs on imports from countries around the world. The court writing, the power to impose tariffs is vested exclusively in the legislative branch by the Constitution. Neil Cutial is an attorney for the plaintiffs.
If President Trump thinks these tariffs are so important, he has a way to get them through, which is go to Congress and get them approved.
The court will allow the tariffs to remain in place until at least October, leaving the White House a chance to appeal. Trump posting online that the decision should be reversed with, quote, the help of the United States Supreme Court.
And Vaughn Hilliard joins me now from the White House. Vaughn, also Chicago leaders tonight pushing back against the president's threats to surge federal immigration agents in that city.
Right, Jose. Today, Chicago's mayor signed an order saying local police will not collaborate with federal agents. It comes as two federal law enforcement officials say the Trump administration is preparing to send agents to the city as soon as next week. And the president has suggested trying to send the National Guard as well. Jose?
Vaughn Hilliard at the White House, thank you. And don't miss Meet the Press tomorrow when Kristen Welker interviews Oklahoma Senator James Lankford, California Congressman Ro Khanna, and former Today anchor Hoda Kotb. That's tomorrow morning, right here on NBC. And now to the war in Gaza and the Israeli military's new attacks on the enclave's most populated city. And tonight, one aid organization saying that getting people out safely isn't even possible. Molly Hunter reports from Jerusalem.
Covered in gray dust, the men leave the boy on the ground, bleeding from his head, and pick up the one still alive, hoisting him onto a mattress. The chaos following an Israeli strike in western Gaza City. Minutes later, blood streaming down his face, this boy crying out. This is a civilian area, Nadal Al-Kahut says. No one told us this was a dangerous area. No one told us to leave. The IDF claimed to strike a key Hamas terrorist in today's attacks. When asked for additional details, the IDF did not answer NBC's questions. In a separate Israeli strike hitting a bakery in Gaza City, child after child after child after child. At least 6 killed, according to the hospital. Saeed Abu Tahoun cradles his 11-year-old daughter, Dahlia. A scream from a father that needs no translation. An estimated 1 million people live here. The International Red Cross said today it's impossible to evacuate that many people safely. Prime Minister Netanyahu claims this new Gaza offensive will root out remaining Hamas strongholds and bring the hostages home. But tonight in Tel Aviv, the families of hostages have a message to him and for President Trump.
Most Israelis want this war to end. President Trump, end this war now!
And there's new information from the IDF about last night's operation in Gaza City. The military says multiple Israeli soldiers were wounded when they drove over an explosive device during combat. Jose?
Molly Hunter in Jerusalem, thank you. To South America now and the rising tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela. Officials in Washington sending several U.S. warships to the southern Caribbean. And now there are growing questions about what it's all for. In Venezuela's capital, leader Nicolás Maduro putting his military on display, accusing the United States of preparing an invasion. Maduro saying the U.S. wants to colonize Venezuela, to break it into pieces and steal its riches. That rhetoric in response to a major development from the Pentagon, mobilizing U.S. Navy warships and thousands of personnel off Venezuela's coast. The goal, according to the U.S., is to confront the drug cartels operating in the region.
The president is prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice.
The Trump administration doubling the reward for Maduro's arrest to $50 million, accusing him of being the head of the Cartel de los Soles, responsible for trafficking fentanyl-laced cocaine into the U.S., an allegation Maduro has denied.
The DEA has seized 30 tons of cocaine linked to Maduro and his associates, with nearly 7 tons linked to Maduro himself.
The White House also designating that cartel an international terrorist organization. That accusation echoed by Ecuador, Paraguay, Argentina, and other countries, adding to the pressure inside Venezuela, after widespread claims that Maduro ignored last year's election results and clung to power. All of that comes after Venezuela's political crisis and economic collapse caused what may be the largest mass migration in the Americas in recent history. Nearly 8 million people forced to leave that country, many coming here to the U.S. Here at home, Mass has resumed at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis after Wednesday's deadly shooting that killed 2 young children and hurt 18 other people. Maggie Vespa is in Minneapolis tonight. Maggie, good evening.
Jose, good evening. Mass is back on at Annunciation Catholic Church. In fact, it's happening right now. It's being live streamed on the local Archdiocese Facebook page. This service, it's important to note, is taking place in the parish's auditorium, not in the main church space where Wednesday's attack happened, killing 10-year-old Harper Moisky and 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel. Flowers and memorials tonight lined the church, and just moments before the service began, we heard for the first time from the priest who was inside when the shooting happened, and he told me he ran toward the bullets.
If I could have got between those bullets and the kids, that's what I was hoping to do. And the door, you might have heard, the doors were barred shut on the outside by the gunmen. I mean, we tried to get out. I think some of the fathers would have gone out there and gang rushed him if they could have, and I would have been right there with them. But I think by that time, the damage was done.
Tonight, people here once again praying and mourning together. Jose.
Maggie Vespa in Minneapolis, thank you. Back now with dramatic video of a police chase in Malibu. A kidnapping suspect crashing a stolen car with kids inside. Police say the suspect stole the vehicle when it was left running with 3 children inside. One of them was just 2 years old. The driver was arrested. The kids were checked out at a hospital. And now to a disturbing trend in the wild and possibly even in your backyard. The rabies virus is popping up in animals like raccoons and foxes across the country. And as Ann Thompson reports, the growing number of cases has health officials concerned.
They are setting traps for rabid skunks in North Carolina's Franklin County, the second fastest growing county in the state with a growing wildlife rabies problem.
What's happening to the number of cases?
Well, this year we've had 10 confirmed positive animals, and last year we had 5.
Health Director Scott Levine tracks rabid skunks, raccoons, and other wildlife on this map.
So the animals are moving. This development is occurring here.
And while 10 may not sound like a lot, Indiana resident Samantha Lang knows all you need is 1.
I had a bite on my arm that I was reacting to in a very odd way. And then when there was a bat in my apartment the next day that needed to be caught, that's when I went and sought medical attention.
The bat wasn't caught and couldn't be tested for rabies, but the virus is fatal once symptoms set in. So Lang got a series of rabies vaccines and a $25,000 bill she hopes insurance will cover. Today, the CDC is tracking 15 outbreaks.
We've had a pretty historic number of calls about rabid bats across the entire United States. At peak rabies season, it does seem like activity's higher.
With deadly consequences for people. The virus transmitted by an infected animal bite caused 6 human deaths over the last 12 months, says the CDC, after 3 years of no such deaths reported. Officials say to protect yourself, avoid animals behaving strangely. If you get bit, call your local health department immediately and make sure your pets are vaccinated and their shots are up to date.
If your dog or cat is not vaccinated, what are the options?
Well, we have a decision tree, and there's 2 hard options at the very beginning. And one is euthanasia, being put down, and the other is the 4-month observation.
Tough choices health officials say no one should have to make. Ann Thompson, NBC News.
There's good news tonight. So often the good news doesn't get as much attention as the bad. So every Saturday we highlight the many people who spread joy and love. And these are just some of those stories this week. You've never seen a courtroom like this. In Little Rock, Arkansas, a huge celebration with lights, clapping, and a lot of energy. All that joy, it's for a 19-year-old Cozy on his adoption day. After years in the Arkansas foster care system, now he's going home with Tim and Anna Dietrich. The community cheering him on as he starts a new chapter with his new family. Look at this. Over the skies of Illinois, hundreds of skydivers taking a giant leap to make history. More than 170 skydivers from across the world getting together to set a new world record, the most to ever fly vertically. And after years of preparation, these daredevils say they made it happen.
Missing dog, Bam Bam.
And outside this grocery store in Chicago,
please help me find him.
This dog owner going above and beyond to find his best friend. That's Angel Santiago, who is blind and has been searching for his missing service dog, Bam Bam. Angel says someone stole him from his backyard months ago, back in June. Since then, he's walked up to 7 miles a day, listening for Bam Bam's bark.
Nothing was going to stop me.
But soon, he wasn't alone. His community rallying behind him and getting to work. Amy Pasolich was among a group of organizers helping to reunite them.
And I just didn't want to let him do this alone anymore.
But get this, his story gained even more traction online, with people all over the country stepping up to help.
He's asking for the public in Chicago to be his eyes because he cannot see.
So there will be a walking/flyering event this Saturday.
I hope they find him and that he can come home.
A GoFundMe was set up to help, reaching more than $20,000. And then, 75 days later, Angel got a call about a dog dropped off at this police station. It was Bam Bam.
It was like, is this real? Is this really happening? Did I really get my Bam Bam back?
An emotional reunion that Angel and his new family of supporters had been waiting for.
You all mean so much to me, and thank you for getting Bam Bam home for me, with your eyes. And I'll never forget this.
All starting with a man's love and mission to save his best friend.
His determination and walking every day, we would not know about his story if he hadn't done that. So Angel brought Bam Bam home because he never gave up hope.
Angel and Bam Bam back together again. What a great story. That's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. Hallie Jackson will be here tomorrow night. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and good night.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.